A very good evening to all of you. So today uh, we are back again with our weekly lectures on this Organon. So last time we have done aphorisms till aphorism 64, and there were many questions regarding this primary action and secondary action, and many other questions also. I think, altogether 8 questions which have come over the previous week of 2 times. So today I think we will first go through these questions uh, because like I told about this thing, like we were talking about this thing in the past lecture also, in the past class also, that understanding of this primary action and secondary action is very important, because if we understand this thing, then only we can understand the action of the medicine, how the medicine is acting on us. So there was this problem with the aphorism 64 itself, where there are two scenarios of A and B, the counteraction and the curative action. So there was this question, why vital force chooses to act option A, such as opium, as the antipathic in the patient case, but in healthy person vital force acts option B. So regarding this question, first I will go through the aphorism 63 and 64 once again. I have made some presentation also, which will help to understand this more definitely. So we'll start with the aphorism 63, the aphorism on the uh, so every agent means every agent, every medicinal agent, any kind of medicinal agent. We are not talking about the way how it is given, but we are talking about any medicinal agent. Every agent that acts upon the vitality, whichever medicinal agent has the power to act upon the vitality of the patient, act upon the organism of the patient, every medicine, as to say, deranges more or less the vital force. So any agent which has the action, which has the power to act, power to alter the state of an organism of the vital force, basically deranges the vital force more or less. That is the only way a medicine can show that it has the power to act, by deranging the vital force. Wherever the vital force is, it has a power to derange it. Just and causes a certain alteration in the health of the individual for a longer or a shorter period. And it basically alters the state of the health, alters the state wherever that individual is, it alters that state. So this action of the medicine on the organism, once the medicine is given, it produces some action on the organism, on the vital force of the patient, on the vital force of the person. This action is termed as the primary action. So although a product of the medicinal and vital powers conjointly, it is principally due to the former power. Although the action is on vital force, and the force of the medicine and the vital force, they conjointly produce this kind of action. But It comes because of the stimulus of the medicine. So we basically give this thing, this action of the primary action to the medicine, that it has come because of the power of the medicine. To its action, our vital force endeavors to oppose its own energy. Vital force is basically an instinctive force, as has been told by Dr. Hahnemann in the previous aphorisms which we have done. One of the qualities of vital force is that it is instinctive. It reacts. Whenever some action is produced on it, it has to react. So to this action, this primary action, the vital force produces its own action, which opposes the action which is produced on it. This resistant action is a property, is indeed an automatic action of our life preserving power, which goes by the name of secondary action or counter action. So, this secondary action of the vital force towards the primary action is known as the secondary action. It is always opposite, it is a resistant action of the vital force. So, now I'm going to the question again. Why vital force chooses to act in a way, in one way when there is an antipathic treatment, but the other way when the patient is in healthy state? It is not healthy state. I will go to the next aphorism where one thing is, uh, so the primary action is basically action of the medicinal agent and secondary action is the action of the organism. So now coming to the next part, during the primary action of the we will just read this aphorism and then I will go to the next part where I will make the bifurcation that how this aphorism goes down. There are some important parts in the this aphorism which have to be seen as steps. So during the primary action of the artificial morbific agents, means the medicines on our healthy body. So whenever this primary action is going on, as seen in the following examples, the following examples mean the examples in the aphorism 65, which we have done. Our vital force seems to conduct itself merely in a passive receptive manner. So whenever the primary action is going on, the medicinal action is going on, the vital force, it just takes it in a receptive manner. It just lets the medicine act on it and appears, so to say, compelled to permit the impressions of the artificial power acting from without to take place in it. So it also seems, because whatever Dr. Hahnemann has written, he has written on the observations which he has observed during his experiments, his different experiments. So he said that it also seems that the whenever a medicinal agent is given to an organism, the vital force just is compelled. It is under the influence of that medicine that it lets that medicine act. It does not straight away react to it. It just lets that medicine act first to permit the impressions of the artificial power acting from without to take place in it and thereby alter its state of health. So, whatever state of health it was in, it is altered by that medicine. For example, if the state of health was the patient was having a headache, by giving a paracetamol or a painkiller, the headache, it lets the action, that primary action of medicine, it lets it happen. It then, however, appears to rouse itself again. But after some time, when it comes this time for the secondary action towards that primary action, it rouses itself again, it excites itself again, as it were, and to develop the first part, the exact opposite condition of health, the counteraction, the secondary action, to this effect. Whatever was effect produced on it, for example, someone is in a state of dullness, he drinks coffee to excite itself. So that coffee is acting as a medicinal agent. It is producing a primary action in the body. The primary action is of excitement. Because the person was feeling a little dull, he wanted to work, he was doing some work, and he felt some dullness. So this primary action, when given to the body, the primary action was to excite the body, to excite the mind and body both. But when it comes to the secondary action, when the vital force will start producing its action, it will produce the exact opposite condition of that thing. Okay? So the primary action was to excite. So the exact opposite thing will be to dull the person again, to take it to the dullness. That will be the secondary action, the exact opposite condition of health. Counteraction, secondary action. To this effect means the primary action produced upon it. So whatever primary action was produced on it, it counteracts, it produces a completely opposite state of that thing. If there be such an opposite, and if that opposite state is present inside the body, because I think there was a confusion where the word um, nature is used, like in this, I will come to that part and we will discuss that there again. If there be such an opposite state present, and that in as great a degree as was the effect. So the degree is also same. For example, the excitement has gone from this part to this part. So the dullness also be like this, from here it will go down there. It has to be in the proportionate manner. It always produces in the proportionate manner. That in as great a degree as was the effect, primary action of the artificial morphic or medicinal agent on it, proportionate to its own energy. So it will be always proportionate. It will produce a proportionate secondary action. But if there be, now we come to the B part, or if there be not in nature a state exactly the opposite of primary action. Not in the nature means in the nature of the organism. We are not talking about the nature as a whole. Here it is nature of the health of the particular organism whom we are talking. So in the first example which I gave of coffee, there was already a dullness. The body had a known state, a known nature of dullness. It had there. To counteract it, we had the person had coffee to excite it, and then it brought it back to the opposite state which was already known to this body. It was already known. But now in the second scenario, if there be not in nature a state exactly the opposite of the primary action. So if there is a not a known state in the nature of this primary action, some primary action which is produced, I will go to that in the next slide. Because actually the answer to this part, the B part, is given in the aphorism 66. We have not reached there yet. So, but because the question was put, so I think I'll give the answer here and then we will move to the aphorism 66. If there be not in nature a state exactly the opposite of the primary action, it appears to endeavor to indifferentiate itself, that is, to make its superior power available in the extinction of the change wrought. So what happens in that state is, when there is no known state available, what the vital force do is, it basically, whatever change is brought on it, whatever, I will go to the example in the next slide. Okay, just we have to understand the words here. There are some words. So it basically indifferentiates itself from that action, and it does not produce the opposite state. It basically, whatever change is brought in it, it basically removes that extinction of the change wrought in it from without by the medicine. In the place of it, it substitutes a normal state. So when that change is basically extincted, whatever the change was brought, it is the second scenario. It will substitute it with that normal state, with a healthy state, which is known as the curative action. Now I'm going to differentiate between the curative action and the counteraction. So again, the first part, when the medicinal agent is given, like I told you, it will always produce a primary action, which vital force takes in a receptive manner and let the medicine act. So it will let the medicine act in a receptive manner. But once this action is over, the primary action is over, then the vital force produces secondary action. So the first A part is counteraction, which means the exact opposite state of primary action. which is an example of the isopathy, the examples which we have seen that to cure the diarrhea, opium was given, which produced a constipated state for some time. But as soon as the action was over, the secondary action came, the diarrhea came with more force. Or whenever it was given to cure the sleeplessness, it will produce a dull state of sedation. But whenever the action will go away, it will produce the opposite state of action, because all these states are actually known. The state of sleeplessness was known to the body already. The state of diarrhea was known to the body already. Those states are already going on in the body, so they were known to the body. So whenever the opposite state was produced, the body will come back to the known state of the nature. It will produce the exact opposite state, as we have done with the examples in the portion of the isopathy. So this is all about that thing. The counteraction is all about that thing. Exact opposite state of the primary action. State known to nature means state known to the organism. It is known to me. For example, I have a state of head pain, some headache. It is known to me. So whenever I will have a painkiller, it will subside, but the action of painkiller, when it passes away, it will come again. The head pain will come again. So it is produced and in proportionately the same degree. Okay. So the exact opposite state of secondary action is produced. We have done this in ISO. Now we come to the second part, the B part. Because this was the main part of confusion, that at one place the opium is producing that kind of. Now, for example, I am giving a medicine where it produces the primary action same as the known state, not the opposite state. For diarrhea, I was giving a medicine to produce a state of constipation. For sleeplessness, I was giving a medicine that in primary action will produce a state of sleepiness. Okay. Now, but in my primary action, if I am producing the same state, which is when we give a homeopathic remedy. For example, there was a state of sleeplessness. I give a medicine which creates a state of sleeplessness. So whatever is going on, the medicine is producing the same primary action. This is the B part, the curative action. Why? And that is why Dr. Hahnemann has given in brackets the curative action. So the body naturally does not know the opposite state of this thing. Body does not know. In its nature, there is sleeplessness. There is no sleepiness. The body knows the state of sleeplessness. The other state was produced by the opium in the counteraction, in the primary action when the opium was given in the isopathic way. But when the medicine is given in a homeopathic way, means that there is a state of sleepiness. I am giving a medicine to produce the state of sleepiness. So the primary action is already known to the body. So it does not know this opposite state of that thing. So what happens at that time? So the B part is of that thing. When the opposite state of action produced is not present, the body does not have any opposite state present, like after the homeopathic remedy. So what happens is that secondary action is to extinguish the change. So there was sleepiness. I gave a medicine to increase that sleepiness. Means I gave a medicine which basically produces sleeplessness. Sorry. There was sleeplessness and I gave a medicine to produce sleeplessness. So what will body do? Whatever the change is brought on it, the vital force will try to extinguish that thing. That, okay, a primary action, the sleeplessness is brought. I already have sleeplessness. I don't know the opposite state. So let's remove this state from the body. So whatever the change is brought from without, in that state, the secondary action is the curative action and it tries to extinguish and replace it with a normal state of health, the state known to the nature. Because before getting sick, the body was healthy. It knows that state. It knows that state of health. So it will just try to extinguish that change which is brought on it. So these are two actions done by the vital force when two medicines are given with a different intention. With a different intention. So this we have to understand, because in the counteraction which we have talked about in the isopathy, the counteraction we have seen and we see it every day. We see it every day when the medicines are given in that way. So whenever the medicine is given to, like we give some kind of laxative to attend to the state of constipation. So the constipation state is already known to the body. Next time the constipation comes with more power, stays for a longer time. We know that we have very commonly seen this thing. So we know that in our experience, this kind of thing happens. But the opposite thing is of the homeopathic remedy. When the homeopathic remedy is given, then how the secondary action happens. Because the primary action is already a known state, it is not the exact opposite state. In isopathy, the primary action is opposite state, so the counter action is again the opposite state of the body. Sorry, of the primary action. But secondary action, when a remedy is given in a homeopathic way, where the medicine is given to a patient suffering from sleeplessness, where the medicine causes a little more sleeplessness, then it produces because the state of sleepiness is not known to the body. There is no state which has which actually occurs in the body, or the body knows about that thing. No, it does not. So in those cases, it just try to extinguish the change which is basically brought on it from the without. So this is how the homeopathic action, the curative action happens. And in isopathy, or when the intention is given with the intention to palliate, when the medicine is given with the intention to palliate, then the counteraction will always come. Whenever the morphine is given to decrease the pains, the next episode of pain will be much, much severe than the previous episode. It will come quicker. We recently had a case from Thailand of a rectal cancer, and he had the same condition. He was taking morphine so many times, and the next attack which will come would be like the action will be for smaller time, the pain will be more than the previous one. This is always seen in the experience. So I think I was very clear with these two, A and B part. Still, if you have any question, you can ask right now. Also, you can type in the messages in the chat, or you can ask later. Also, I will go to the next questions. So the next question was constitutional remedies one, whether the constitutional remedies one for one person, or constitutional remedies for one period of time, like when the case taking is done. Considering the answer is later, does it mean like peeling onions treatment, uh, treating the disease layer by layer? I think this is the question. So there is no single scenario. There is in the organon, when we will go through the organon, although the answer to this will come in the later parts of the organon, but because the question was asked, so I will answer right now also, and we will discuss when we will go to those particular aphorisms where the Dr. Hanuman says that most of the cases they belong to one antisoric, and in some cases you might need more than one antisoric. So the same thing, that most of the cases they basically belong to the one constitutional remedy. But then there are few cases where the constitutional remedies, like I have made this example. This two, one is a constitution which basically entangles like this. There is one starting point from where everything is starting, and it is going on and on and on. Okay? World single constitutions. Then multiple layered constitution. There is one layer of the constitution, then the another layer, then the another layer, layer over layer, the constitution. Now, how these constitutions are developed, and how we can find, how we can differentiate in them. So in the single constitution, the symptoms are linked with each other. Okay, for example, first this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and all these symptoms, they are being piled upon one another, one another, one another, but they have a link. One symptom went away, the next came, then that went away, the next came. So they have a link. So they are developed from each other, and the progression of disease is interlinked. So when a constitutional similimum is prescribed, it will cure the symptom present, and the old symptoms will keep coming. Okay. So the present symptom, they will keep going away. The old will keep coming. Then they will keep going away. Then the new symptoms will come. And these old symptoms will keep coming, which will go either on their own under the action of the remedy, or will require a dose of the same remedy. Or if the symptoms which are old, they have come back and they are lingering, so we just need the same remedy, dose of same remedy, and those symptoms will start going away. So this is basically a single constitutional medicine case. Then in multiple layered constitutions, there are set of symptoms. And one thing also, in single constitution, the mental disposition somewhat remains the similar. It does not change much over the period of time. Okay, the basic disposition, it remains kind of similar. But in multiple layer constitution, there are set of symptoms which change into another set of symptoms, and then they change into another. So there are set of symptoms which are changing. For example, along with the change of basic disposition and constitution, the basic disposition and constitution, and along with that, a set of symptoms they change. For example, the patient used to have diarrhea, the patient used to have some IBS symptoms, and then he also used to have some other allergic symptoms of the respiratory tract at that time, along with an anxious constitution. But suddenly, sometime in the life cycle, these all things changed. The disposition also changed, the symptoms also changed, and a new kind of set of symptom came. So even those symptoms in these cases will not come episodically. In these cases, they are completely gone. They are completely in a suppressed state somewhere in the organism. Even the disposition, the anxious disposition, will change into more confident disposition. It will start showing some confidence, it will start showing some extrovertedness, the constitution also. And these changes can be brought up by some sudden incidents in life. For example, some shocks, some sudden incidents, some sudden failures which change the perspective of a person completely. Some medications also can bring this kind of change. The medicines which are very strong, which had a strong impact on the constitution, or too much self restraints. For example, very strong kind of uh, life changing activity. For example, there are these exercises people do nowadays, some kind of self development, or some kind of this thing where too much restraint was used. We have talked about this thing in our recently concluded Thailand workshop also, the thing about the shadow theory. So where too much restraint, whatever was not good inside, the person did not like something in them, it was completely sent into the unconscious, and a new kind of behavior was developed. So in those conditions also, because a completely new set of disposition is being constituted, so the symptoms belonging to the constitution will also change. So but this is not very common thing you will come across in the practice. These are rare phenomena which will come rarely, but yes, when they come, you should be ready for them. So whenever you will give one particular disposition, one particular medicine, you will see that the disposition and the set of symptoms, they all get better. And when they all get better, new set of symptom and the old means from the past, the old set of symptom will come back with the old disposition and the old constitution. So yes, both the things can happen. There are layers also, but then there can be one single constitution around which all the symptoms are developing and developing and developing. But because there are such cases, don't take this approach in every case where we are just looking at the symptoms, giving the medicine, looking at the symptoms, giving the medicine, because it seems to be easy. Just give the medicine on the set of symptoms present in front of us. Then we will never be able to cure the patient permanently. That is also palliative practice. We will be palliating some symptoms, and some new symptoms will come in that place. Then we will go for those symptoms, then other symptoms will come, and this thing will keep going on. So yes, both the things happen, but the second thing, the layer thing, it happens rarely. It happens in multi-miasmatic where the disease has gone from one miasm to another. In those cases also it happens, but again that is a very rare thing. So don't go for this approach until and unless you are very sure that this thing has happened. So next question is, what will happen if homeopath prescribes remedy according to the totality of symptoms? Okay, the remedy is according to the totality of symptoms. 200C, repeat every day for 10 to 20 days. Reason to repeat remedy is because of toxicity received from current environment. So remedy is needed to repeat several times. Okay. So the question is that because of the toxic environment, I think maybe physical environment or the mental, I don't know, but whatever, we will talk about the both. The that is there a need to repeat the medicine every day for 10 to 20 days? And if someone repeats it, what happens? Environment is not toxic, whether it is at home, whether it is outside, whether it is anywhere. It is our susceptibility which takes the environment like that. Like I have talked about this thing many times, that this learned thing, there are many things which we have learned. There are many things which we have been made to, you know, we are programmed somewhere in a way where we, although the weakness is in us, but we will tell that it is because of the environment. Thuja constitution is basically weak inside. So everything is affecting them. The dust is affecting them, some smoke is also affecting them, some kind of change in the weather is also affecting them. But that change of weather is happening for everyone. That smoke, that dust is there for everyone. So why the other people are not getting affected and this patient is particularly getting affected? Although the Thuja patient will say that it is because of the environment, it is because of the pollution, it is because of the way people talk, the way people behave, it is so noisy, it is so. The problem is that they are internally weak. They have a weak constitution, they have a weak defense mechanism. They are basically susceptible to being sick. So that susceptibility needs to be cured. Once that susceptibility starts becoming better, these kind of attacks will be less. The patient will become more strong to repel these kind of attacks. And 200C every day for 10 to 20 days. One dose of the medicine is more than enough to produce. That is why the prime understanding of primary action, secondary action is more very important. Your medicine, you are giving the medicine just to develop the primary action. Rest is the work of the vital force and the body. If we are thinking that for 20 days we can um, mm, bring the primary action, so we are just unnecessarily aggravating the symptoms. Although those are the symptoms of the patient themselves, but they will be aggravated without any need. If your dose is very right, if your dose is completely minimum, one dose of 200 potency is more than enough. And we have seen this thing in the recent camps also, in the other patients also. We have seen this thing that one dose is more than enough and it can keep continuing its action for one year. If you remember the boy, the Lachesis boy in our camp, we have given him medicine 1 year back and he's still getting better. He also lives in a toxic environment. He also lives in the main work which we should do is not on the potency or the dosage. Those are very small parts of prescription. It is on getting our medicine better. Right. It is the selection of the medicine that needs the work. When we are selecting right medicine, then 201 m, they are very small things. I don't say that they don't play a part. They play a part, but they are very small things. If our medicine is wrong, even if we are repeating it again and again, even if we are doing this change in the potency, it is not going to produce much of an result for us. So when the our medicine is right, one single dose is more than enough in any kind of toxic environment. And if you are repeating it again and again, you are just we are just unnecessarily producing the primary action again and again and again, which will aggravate the symptoms of the patient without any need. Sometimes we need repetition in those cases where the disease is very organic, very deep, where the patient does not have its own vitality. Then the repetition of the dose is needed. But if the patient has good vitality, even in a cancer case, you don't need much repetitions. So next question is your opinion on giving Crotellus horridus to treat bad effects from COVID-19 vaccinations. Why Crotellus horridus? I After COVID-19 vaccination, many patients had bad effects. But again, those bad effects were not of only COVID-19. Their own susceptibility was also intermingled with those things. So any kind of thing, whether it is the bad effects of the vaccination, whether any acute disease which has weakened the patient further and further, the approach has to be same, that understanding the patient, understanding the uniqueness of the patient, understanding the individuality of the patient. Even if after COVID-19 vaccination, there has been some symptoms which have developed, because there is not only one single symptom which has developed after COVID-19 vaccine. There are many symptoms. In many patients, the different kind of symptoms have developed. So the Crotellus horridus has a one particular set of symptoms which are developed after this thing. So we cannot give it for the other symptoms, the other constitutions, which basically don't belong to Crotellus. And the Crotellus horridus will not work in everything. It will only work where that kind of similar personality, similar set of symptoms are developed. Otherwise, the Crotellus horridus will also not work. In homeopathic aggravation, will there be one or more than one symptom which patient already have which aggravates? And what is the pattern of the homeopathic aggravation? Can homeopathic aggravation be presented as modality? This last part, I think I'm not very clear what has been asked, but what I think is that whether the after the homeopathic aggravation can present itself as some kind of modality, like the modality of the aggravation which was already present, I think, like that. So we have to understand what is the homeopathic aggravation and what is the disease aggravation. Dr. Kent has very beautifully given in the where he has given the 12 observation, he has very beautifully mentioned this thing, explained this thing. One is the aggravation of the patient, one is the aggravation of the symptoms. After we have given a medicine, if the patient is becoming weak, that means the weakness of the patient means that the disease is increasing. If some violent symptoms are coming, some are becoming aggravated, that means that the disease is becoming aggravated. But the homeopathic aggravation is where the symptoms have aggravated, but the patient still feels better. So many times I have seen this thing in the clinics, in my clinic, that the patients, when they come after 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, when they come after the right medicine, I will ask, okay, how are you? He said, the doctor, the pain has increased. Okay, I was okay. And how is the sleep? A little like before, not good. Appetite is also not good. And some other symptom, the constipation, some other thing is also not good. So when I will ask, okay, tell me how you are feeling. He says that I don't know, but I'm feeling okay. I'm not that much bothered by this thing. So there is a difference between the aggravation of the patient. When the patient is telling doctor, I'm not well, I'm much, it is not about the symptom. The symptom might be better. The pain is little. There are many patients which come this way also, that the pain has become better, this thing, but I am not feeling good. I feel that somewhere inside I am feeling weak. So that is the aggravation of the disease. That is the aggravation of the patient. But where the patient is feeling good, but symptoms have slightly increased, that is a proper homeopathic aggravation, that proper homeopathic primary action of the medicines. Now, which symptoms will increase? Whether the main thing is that violent symptoms should not increase. For example, if there is a symptom of hemorrhage, that hemorrhage should not increase. Any symptom which is violent, any violent pains are there, the pains which are making a patient faint, the kind of pains which are making the patient scream, those kind of violence should not increase. That will not get aggravated. Yeah, few symptoms will be aggravated, but those symptoms will be more aggravated in a way that the patient can basically bear them. The patient will not get much aggravated by the aggravation of the symptoms. So any specific patterns of homeopathic aggravation, like the emotional thing will get better. See, whenever the right medicine we are giving, like I said, that the patient will become better first. The patient has to become better. That is the main thing. So you will see that mentally and physically, the patient has started becoming better, especially the mental part. We have done also in the this thing we have discussed the aphorism 253, where Dr. Hahnemann tells that in all the diseases, the slight commencement of amelioration or aggravation can be told from the state of mind. So that general state of mind, the patient will become more equable. We will see that in the way the patient is behaving, the way patient is telling something, the way patient is acting, it feels more comfortable, it feels more calmness. There was this patient when he came for the first time, and he was the whole case was given by the wife. He had this diabetes mellitus with weakness and with numbness of extremities. So he just sat there. Even I asked the question to the patient, he will look at the wife so that the wife gives the answer. It is not because of the weakness he was not able to speak. He didn't wanted to speak. He wanted to take the medicine. He told the wife that I want to take the medicine. He didn't want to speak at all. So, and he was in a very this the face. If you look at the face, like very tired face, very sad face, that kind of face, and he was not at all, very much, state of discouraged, that kind of constitution. So when he came next time after the medicine, he told about all the improvements or whatever the symptoms he had. Next time he told them themselves. That is a big change. Although his sugar was not better, it was same as before. The numbness was same. Weakness was a little better, but rest of the symptoms they were same. But next time, for the wife also told this thing that after a long time he has started smiling on things. So from this kind of demeanor, we can see that there is a change which has come. The patient is feeling more calm. The mind is more free. There is a more degree of comfort, more degree of encouragement in the patient. So those, although the symptoms may be lightly aggravated, but this kind of thing will be seen first in the general condition of the mind, the general condition of the patient. So in the pattern, this will be the first thing which will start becoming better. And can homeopathic aggravation be presented as modality aggravation? See, what are the modalities? Modalities are basically our susceptibilities. For example, cold air aggravates. That means I'm sensitive to cold air and it aggravates some condition. So homeopathic aggravation will not show itself in the aggravation of the modality. If a person is sensitized to cold air, after the in the homeopathic aggravation, he will not become more sensitized because the medicine is meant to decrease the sensitization. Some few superficial symptoms may go into aggravation, some few symptoms, but the general modalities they will not go into a state of aggravation. If you have given a medicine to a patient who is suffering from psoriasis and he gets aggravated in winters, so the next winters, the even if there is aggravation, that should be less as compared to the previous aggravation. If the aggravation of disease is more than the previous winters, that means the medicine is wrong. So homeopathic aggravation will not show itself or present itself as a modality aggravation, because modality aggravation is basically a sign of our increased or heightened sensitization, oversensitization to something. So after the medicine, the oversensitization will not increase, it has to decrease, it has to come down. Okay, so these were the questions which were asked. I think I was able to answer all of them properly. Still, if there are any questions, still if there is any doubt, you can send it to me again. And I think we will, because we have to do till aphorism 70 in a stretch, and I don't think we will be able to do that today, because we have done till aphorism 66, 566. So we have five aphorisms which have to go in a stretch because they are interlinked. And after aphorism 70, when we will be done with the aphorism 70, our theoretical part will be over and we will start with the practical part of the homeopathy. So till aphorism 70, we have the theoretical part where Dr. Henneman has given us the principles, where he has made us understand these kind of things. What is isopathy? What is the primary action? What is the secondary action? What is the vital force? These all basic things. The philosophy behind homeopathy, the laws, the principles are given till aphorism 70. So we will continue our this thing next week from aphorism 66 to 70. It will be it will take around 1.5 hour, I think. 1.5 hour it will take. So any other questions you can tell me. You can send it on the WhatsApp, this thing, because even with the primary and secondary action, even if you feel still feel, although I have tried to desiccate it in a proper way, the way it is written, all the small things, but still if there is something, that still not able to understand, you can send it to me again and we can discuss it again. So I think we will stop today's part here, and we will meet next Wednesday, and we will start from aphorism 66 and do till aphorism 70. Thank you very much.